Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today's video is the second installment in our Prepping 101 series here on the Phantom Llama's Den. In the first episode, we talked about the importance of being able to have water on hand in the event of a natural disaster or a grid down situation. In today's video, we're going to talk about some of the items that you may want or need in the event of an extended power loss situation. I've got a couple of the easily moved items here on my bar. Later in the video, we're going to go up to my office and I'll show you a couple items up there. And then we're going to go outside for the final two. Over the last several years here in Iowa, I have had the unfortunate opportunity to become very familiar with extended periods of having no power. Just last spring, we were without power for 6 hours. And then a couple years before that, in a massive storm here in Iowa that is known as a derecho, my wife and I were without power for 36 hours. Not to mention a slew of other power outages that lasted a lot less time. But for a lot of people in today's world who are very reliant on modern technology and therefore power, a long-term power outage can be absolutely crippling and paralyzing. As I said, we're going to start with the items here on my bar top and we'll move from there. Most of this, in one form or another, you already have, but it's good to make note of where it is in your house in the event that you need it. First off, we're going to start out a little old school with oil lamps and candles. For this, I got out my old oil lamp that I definitely still use. You can see a little bit of smoke there from when I was burning it a little too brightly. And then I pulled out my classic old barn lantern. I kind of have a weird obsession with collecting authentic US-made barn lanterns. It's one of the few things that I look for every time my wife wants to go antiquing. The thing about candles, oil lamps, barn lanterns, a fireplace, other than the fact that it doesn't require batteries or power, they're very easy to use. And when they're not in use, they can easily be a decoration within your home. Most of the time, this oil lamp just sits on a shelf and looks pretty. The barn lantern just sits in my garage because I'm still trying to figure out how to incorporate a nice rustic look into our home. Mrs. Llama, I promise we're gonna figure this out. Both of the lamps can either use kerosene or what I prefer, an actual oil. Kerosene, while it absolutely works, does tend to produce more black smoke, which can then fog the glass, which is kind of counterproductive to what you're trying to accomplish in providing light in a room that does not have power. All right, let's move out of the 1800s. I would say the Dark Ages, but it doesn't quite make sense as much as I really would like that pun to. And let's move into the modern era. Obviously, what you want to have a decent store of in your home are flashlights. It's a common household tool. They are not expensive. You can get them just about anywhere. I don't think I have to go into too much detail there about flashlights because it is such a duh product. What I will go into is batteries. Be sure to have a good stock of reliable batteries in your home and preferably have them all together in the same place where you don't forget you've put them. Otherwise, you spend a lot of money on a bunch of hard to find batteries only to find a couple days later that you already had a massive stock. This has never happened to me and I'm sure it's never happened to you. But I want to take that a step further and suggest that anybody watching this video invest in rechargeable batteries. The cost of purchasing non-rechargeable batteries can really add up over time. And in the year 2025, it just doesn't make sense to buy non-rechargeable batteries, especially for devices that we're going to be using a lot, whether it's the remote control, your Xbox controller, little electronic devices around your house like clocks, or even in your flashlights. Start buying up stocks of reliable rechargeable batteries from your AAA, AA, 9-volt, all the way up to your 18650s. Get yourself a couple charging stations and you'll start to see that you save money and frustration over time. That brings me to a related topic, battery banks. Now, I looked everywhere for a couple of my battery banks that I know I have in this house, but I can't find them. But I figured it was as good a time as any to showcase this on the channel. You may have seen it in a couple of our videos. This is a homemade battery bank. I won't go into too much technical depth in this video, but what this ammo can has in it are two 6-amp our batteries. I'll also say it's a little work in progress that kind of got shelved because it's already serving its needs. Once turned on, it shows the voltage in the unit, and then I have two quick charging USB ports, so I can charge any two USB devices at any given time just off of this port. Then I can come over here and I have a cigarette lighter. And the cigarette lighter accessory allows me to plug in a whole slew of things that would otherwise be only chargeable in a vehicle. I can even plug in a small power inverter. Ultimately, the size of this makes it great because it is portable. It can be easily stored somewhere. It doesn't take up a lot of space. All right, with these items out of the way, I want to go talk about battery backups. Be right back. All right, this is a little bit different of an angle. The next item I want to talk about are battery backups, or UPSs. Essentially, they do exactly what it says in the name. They provide uninterrupted power to whatever is plugged into them. In my case, these battery backups are powering my 3 servers as well as my internet. I have another one of these on my main system, and then we have other smaller units throughout the house on more important electronics. As a bit of a tech nerd and somebody that spends quite a bit of time on his computer editing, it is extremely frustrating if I am working on a project and the power goes out, or there's a surge that makes my computer reset. I don't necessarily lose what I was working on, but it is very frustrating. If you have important electronics, I definitely would recommend getting one of these battery backups. It was actually kind of funny. In the storm where we were without power for 6 hours, I knew the power had gone out. All the lights on the streets were out. I pull into my driveway and I see my wife is watching television. It's also worth noting that you can also use these as battery banks. Okay, that covers battery backups and UPSs. Let's go ahead and go outside if I can actually get out of this cramped position. I had to come outside for the last bit of this for obvious reasons, and of course it's now raining, so I apologize if any raindrops get on the camera lens. So one of the big things that I really have gotten into in the recent years, especially after the derecho, is power generation itself. In my case, I have this Honda EU2200i generator, and then I have this behemoth of a solar panel, home-built solar panel project that I put together over the last summer. Having something that can generate or provide a lot of power, a lot of AC power, is very important in a power outage situation where you're looking at several hours of not having power. Obviously, we're not talking about powering TVs or computers just so you can stay connected. We're talking about keeping things from going bad, like the stuff in your refrigerator and your freezers. That's when you really need to have something that can output quite a bit of power. I say quite a bit, I mean more than like a battery bank or a battery backup. I really like this generator because it's enough to keep plenty of stuff running in my house. And in the winter, if we lose power, this is enough to keep my furnace going. Excuse me, I have to shift. That's so much better. These generators are really simple to start. You just turn it on, you switch the filter to on the cap. You would make sure the choke is on and make sure that you turned the eco throttle off just to start, and then you would just pull. As you can hear, it is fairly quiet for what it is. And that brings me to my solar panel array, my power station as I call it. All right, so this is getting into a little more of the 102 or the 201 level of prepping. This is something that I built last summer. I wanted to build something that could supplement our generator and could just generate and not cost fuel. Essentially, this is just a really big battery bank that I can attach the solar panels to directly and it will charge. I have a 1000 watt inverter in here, and then I have 2 plugs that are attached to the inverter to the top of this case. I've weatherproofed this box so it can stay outside, so I don't have to have this in the garage when the panels are outside. I can have all of this in my front or my backyard, and I can generate power and keep things going. Or if I just want to take this somewhere and run it as just a battery bank, this thing from full charge can run our refrigerator up to 8 hours without any solar panel power coming into it. That is fantastic in and of itself. If anyone has an interest in me doing a deeper dive on this project, maybe this spring, summer, like I said, when I have more time. We'll see if we can do that. The other thing I like, and this goes for the generator as well, these are both portable, and that means I have versatility. I can take the power where it needs to go. And that brings me to the final point I want to make, and this is something you can't buy, at least not authentically purchase. One of the greatest assets any person can have in a power outage, a natural disaster, is community. If you see somebody on your street or in your neighborhood struggling with something or just needs some help with something, offer to help them out. Start striking up conversations. Get to know the people around you. You may not see eye to eye on everything, but I guarantee you, if there is a disaster, if there is a massive power outage, people are going to be willing to get together to help out. Be a good person to the people around you. If you have some of this stuff that can help out in a power outage, offer to help. If you've got more power than you are going to be using, this is plenty to keep most of the absolute essentials in my house running in an extended power outage. But let's say somebody next door or across the street isn't so fortunate or hasn't thought that far ahead. Maybe you can help them not lose an entire refrigerator and freezer worth of food. I think that about covers everything I wanted to talk about in today's video. Let me know if you like this Prepping 101 series. I personally really enjoy doing these videos every month or every 2 months, just as the upload schedule, as our normal content allows for it. Drop a comment down below what you think of the stuff. If you have other things that you think are absolute necessities as far as like providing power in a power outage, let me know down in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. If you have other ideas for future Prepping 101 content, also let me know. Love the ideas. Thank you for all of your continuing support. We've been seeing a little bit of a resurgence on the channel recently. Thank you so much. My life has been an absolute cluster the last month. I can't wait to share that news with you, hopefully. Stay tuned. Thank you for your support, and we'll see you in the next video. That's gonna do it for this video, everybody. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please consider hitting the like button, subscribing to the Phantom Llama's Den. Go check us out on X, Instagram, phantomllamasden.com. Go follow us on Twitch, where we game most Friday nights and get really weird. As always, don't take life too seriously and make it a great day.